Hello everybody, my name is Jessica. I am a student at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. I am getting my Master's of Arts in Teaching with a concentration in TESOL.
I am Luciano Gonzalez. I am also a student at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. I am getting my major in history and a minor in anthropology.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about an event that happened on campus today, which this morning I was very excited to attend because who doesn't love Eva Longoria? She's amazing.
So last night at about 11 p.m., we got an email from a local Latin American student organization on campus. This email was sent to us and it was advertising this event. This event was a conversation with Eva Longoria about the importance of Latin Americans going out and voting and what this particular election stands for when it comes to our community.
So basically, what happened today at the event was Eva Longoria was right in the middle of panelists who were answering questions regarding issues that were affecting the Latino community. So there were 3 panelists and there was a host. And Eva Longoria was answering questions, and simultaneously the panelists were answering those questions as well. The issue that I had was, I feel like the issue that everyone had with the event was that all three of the panelists were talking about issues and answering questions about issues that were affecting the Latino community, but none of these panelists were Latino. So these people were talking about struggles and issues that were affecting a community that they are not part of. So that's the thing that happened, and that really affected the conversations that we had at this event.
The conversation ended up feeling like there were 2 separate conversations taking place, and ended up feeling like Eva Longoria and the host, who were both Latin American, were having one conversation, and then the other hosts were having a very similar but not the same conversation elsewhere. And the reason why I say this is that all of the hosts, every single person involved with the event in an administrative role, was either Latin American or another minority. And that's a good thing. But the conversation was billed to us. It was advertised as a conversation for Latin Americans. So we went in with a certain expectation that it was going to be entirely Latin American. And we thought that this was going to be a rare opportunity for us Latin Americans to have a conversation where we participate in and where we talk to not only Latin Americans, but also other people in the audience who are not Latin American about how this election has made us feel. That isn't what particularly happened. One of the conversations was kind of about that, but it didn't really touch on some of the issues that I was looking forward to us discussing in the context of being Latin American in the United States. And it was frustrating because we do need to have conversations about how minorities should feel about this election. But one, minorities are not a monolithic group. Our identities are not the same just because we are the minority, and the experiences that we have in the United States are all vastly different. And there needs to be a space for us to talk about those differences. And in a conversation that was billed as for Latin Americans and was sent to Latin Americans, trying to get them excited about Latin American issues, it feels like Latin American issues were kind of ignored in this conversation, and it was made to appeal to minorities.
So going off of what you said, there was, one person in the panelist who said, "I believe that the most underrepresented demographics, if you will, in our communities or in our country are young Black men." And I think it's interesting that he would say that in a space that's dedicated to Latino voters, because I don't feel like our struggles or our issues are a competition. Who's more oppressed than who in this country? I feel like every single minority group has a different issue that deeply affects their community. And so I can't say that because I'm Latina, and because I'm a woman, that I am more oppressed than anyone else in this country because other people do not go through the same struggles that I do. So I feel like, and I think it's interesting that in a conversation that was that where we were underrepresented and where it was supposed to be our voice, the person who was not part of that community is saying that they feel that they're underrepresented, even though they were in a conversation that wasn't supposed to be theirs in the first place.
Do you want to talk about some positives?
I guess, let's see, some positives?
Yes.
Okay. Well, even though a lot of the questions and a lot of the answers that were given were not representative of the issues that are affecting my community, I tried to pay very, very close attention to what Eva was saying. And so I think that's a positive because, I went there, I wanted to learn something, and I did get that from Eva. So something that I really loved was when she said that she's 100% Mexican and she's 100% American. And so I think that's pretty great way of looking at it. People usually say, well, you're only half. You're half this and half that. So, I feel like as Latino, or me as a Salvadorian American, I'm both, not half and half. Do you feel the same way as Puerto Rican?
I'm a Puerto Rican who was raised in Central and South America. And frequently, in my experience, not just because of the fact that I'm fully Puerto Rican, also because of the fact that I'm white passing, people in Latin America disparaged me and treated me as if I was somehow lesser than they were in the context of conversations about being Latin American. And for me to hear that was something that was really reaffirming, but also to know that there are individuals who take these conversations seriously. And even if the execution isn't always perfect, to know that this opportunity is occurring nationwide because of this election and because of this series of political and racial tensions is something that I really enjoy. And I'm glad that Eva Longoria and universities all across the nation are doing their best to host conversations on these topics.
Mm-hmm.
I am concerned about the execution of these conversations because it's really easy to mess up.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you feel like they messed it up, but I feel like there are definitely things they could have done better, and that's one of the main reasons why we're having this conversation.
I feel like it would have been a very easy fix. I would have been okay, and I know you would have been okay with just one Latino person who was in the panel. But because there wasn't, the conversation was just so different, and it wasn't what it was supposed to be. Yeah. So do you have any other remarks?
I want to encourage universities to continue to have this conversation. And I want to encourage universities to make it not be an afterthought. Because my biggest frustration right now is that this whole event feels like it was done sincerely, but it was done as an afterthought. It feels like there was a schedule of events that needed to be done, and they were, but they saw some extra time on the schedule and they saw an opportunity. I appreciate that our university was the place where they did this, but I don't want any events that take place at UNCG or at any other university to feel like an afterthought.
And I definitely encourage our peers and other students at UNCG to say what they think. Say what they think about the events and say how it made them feel. Because right now, I feel like maybe I am the only person who was offended by what happened, or who felt that I wasn't being represented as a Latina. So I want to know what your opinion is as a Latino who goes to UNCG. I want to know what you think about this event.
My final statement is be sure to register to vote and vote. Thank you for listening to this, and have a great day.